So now that we've created, a customizable character and we've been able to um, change the clothes of multiple characters here in our scene, we want to try to do that from script. So the first step in doing that, we can start in multiple places, but maybe the first place to start is going to be to create an inventory. So first we create a new game object. We're going to call this inventory, and we're going to create a new script for it. Called inventory. So new script. This is going to be, we can call it something like clothing inventory. Oh, there we go. Clothing inventory. I created it here in our root, and just to keep things more clean and organized, let's go ahead and create a scripts folder and put this guy in here inside our scripts folder. Then we open him in Visual Studio or whichever editor you like to use. And our clothing inventory needs to contain these states. And these states we can see are of type Sprite Manager state. So what we're going to do is we're going to create public Sprite Manager state. It's going to be clothes. We're going to let Unity compile that script for us. And here we see that we have a new array. Go ahead and lock the inspector. Select our states. And we're just going to drag these into here. So now that we've done this, in our scene, we have an inventory of an array of things that we can choose from to customize our character. Next thing we're going to need to do is to create a canvas, so a little UI for changing these things. And the best way to kind of see how that looks is when we go into game mode. We're going to add a panel to that, so see it covered, like by default the panel covers the entire screen. Can't really see that in scene view. What it does is it creates this canvas kind of free floating, huge here above the entire scene. Well, we want this canvas to just be in screen space overlay, so we leave that alone. We leave its defaults. But we kind of want this to be a small menu that is just, stuck on the side of the screen over here. So we're going to change its pivot to like a 0. 0, width can be 300. Oh, sorry, pivot's going to be 1. There we go. Width maybe 150. Height is going to be, it's going to be the entire screen. That part's fine. And in this panel, we're going to start adding some buttons. So, how many things do we want to be able to change? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. 9 parts. Actually, we're not going to swap out the body itself. So we got 8. We need 8 buttons for these, and then later on we're going to have some weapons, but the weapons we can do later. All right, so first thing we're going to do, we're going to add some buttons. Width can be 150. Oh yeah, we're going to add a layout element, a vertical layout group to our panel. That way all of its contents are just going to stack nicely. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 buttons, we said. We might as well add some, actually let's go ahead and make that change its height as well. And then maybe the panel needs to be height of 400 like so. Let's add some text fields so we know exactly what, let's segment our stuff a little bit. Text. There at the top, we're going to go ahead and center this text. We're going to make some copies. Okay. So here, this is going to be our options, our buttons for the head. Let's rename these so we can keep track of our stuff here in the UI. Next is going to be torso. Then it's legs. Finally, feet. Like so. Then we want to start changing the text of our buttons. So for the head, we have hair and then a helmet. Hair. Hair button. Helmet. Button. Okay, now that we've named all of our sections and all of our buttons, we need to create the commands, the script commands, and we're gonna run everything off of here, off of clothing inventory. But before we continue with this script, what we're gonna do is we're gonna create another script on our customizable character here to make it a little bit easier to organize the little body parts. So we're gonna call it character parts, character body parts. Go ahead and create an add. Okay, we created a new body part. I put it under assets. Let's move that into our scripts folder. And what we want to do is we just want to reference all of these body parts within one script, which is why we put him here on on our main body. So this guy has a body, head, torso, legs, feet, and a weapon. And what we're going to do is we're going to reference the sprite manager itself. Sprite manager. So sprite manager for, and we're going to call it body, public, sprite manager, what was it, head, public, sprite manager, torso, public, sprite manager, legs. And feet, we're going to do weapons later. Save this. Let's go back to Unity. Let it compile. And we see that our script now has multiple body parts. Nice. So now we drag our sprite managers into there so that we can reference them easily. Head, torso, legs, feet. All right, and on our inventory, so the inventory has all the items that we can choose from. Now we're going to change the script. So we're going to say, we're going to add character body parts. body parts, save. Wait for Unity to compile. We've added the body parts here. And actually, maybe we should move this above the inventory itself so it looks a little bit nicer in the UI. Okay, there it goes. It moved it above there. So we drag this guy into the body parts. So mainly we're going to, with these buttons, we're going to tell our inventory script to target, these body parts with these items. For that, for example, let's start with hair. We're going to create a click event on our button, and we're going to drag our inventory as the object to perform an action on. But in here in clothing inventory, we don't really have any methods yet that we can really do a whole lot with. So we need to add some methods in there in our inventory script for changing, these body part clothes. And because our UI system really only accepts a few parameters, something like a string, what we're going to do is we're going to do this by body part. So public change head string name. We're going to reference our items by name. So first we'll just start with the head and let's see what we can do here. So when we give it the name, maybe we go here first. Okay, now that we created it, we stubbed out our method. We are then able to assign it here. So we say change head, and we need to give it a name. We're going to use the state name. So in this case, it's going to be head hair, and then head dot golden underscore helm for the other button. Head dot hair. For the helmet, we're going to do the same thing. Add an event, drag the inventory, clothing inventory, change head. And this one was head dot golden helmet, I believe. Golden helm. So we do need to make sure to get these names correct. Now in our script, so since we're passing these strings into our method here, what does it need to do? First, it needs to find the item in the clothing inventory. So in the list, in the array of clothes. Var item equals, and we're going to use link to do a simple link query for this. Using system link. Clothes dot first or default item clothing dot name is equal to name. So it's going to find the first item in our array whose name matches the name that we passed. And if it doesn't find it, this guy's going to be null because it's first or default for this piece of clothing. The default is going to be null for this type. Now we're going to do if item is not equal to null. We do a null check. Now we're going to just assign the body part. So body parts dot head, and there is a method on the sprite manager called copy from. That guy is, we have to add a reference to SpriteMan 3D. Now we have the copy from method on sprite manager. we want to copy from item. Item is already a Sprite Manager state. We're allowed to copy Sprite Manager state into a Sprite Manager. And this is our very simple logic and our kind of one line of code. This is our one line of code that will apply our chosen state to a new Sprite Manager, which in this case is the head body part. Save. Let's see if that actually works. We already hooked up the button for the hair and for the helmet. So when we hit play, move around, there's hair, there's helmet, and we're set. Okay. Now let's go ahead and do the same thing for these other body parts. And these are going to need new methods. So we're going to need some new functions here on this inventory. So these things were for torso, legs, feet. Go ahead and add those. Public void change torso. Change legs. Change feet. And so we don't copy ourselves with this logic, we're going to take this, move that into a new method, and make it a private method. Change SpriteMan. Or load SpriteMan from state. String name. What are the parameters it's going to need? It's going to need the Sprite Manager, manager, like so. This part can stay the same. The part that needs to change is going to be this. So manager, like so. And then we can call this guy with a single line from all these other methods. So load SpriteMan from state. We're going to use the head and the name, and so on. So body parts torso, body parts legs, body parts feet. Save. We'll wait for Unity to compile here. We do actually need to go through the rest of these buttons and actually set their their methods here. So like so. Actually, here's what we're going to do. We're going to multi-select these. Hit add. Drag the inventory down here. For these two buttons, we're going to add they're the torso, so change torso. For these ones, we're going to change pants, legs. And for these last ones, we're going to do feet. And then the names of our states are, let's see, torso shirt. Oh, something weird happened here. Kind of double added something. Okay. So torso shirt. That one's good. What is this? Torso chest armor. Legs is legs pants. This one is golden_Greaves. Legs, golden greaves. For shoes, we have feet shoes. And golden boots. Golden boots. We hit save on our scene. Next, we can hit play, and let's see what happens. Okay, we're walking around. We're going to use a helmet in this case. Next, we're going to change to armor. Now we're wearing armor. We're going back to the shirt. Next, we're going to go to golden greaves, armor, and golden boots. And there we are. Now we made it customizable, fully customizable. And maybe for a little bonus here, we're going to add an extra capability for none. So for example, if we're going to take his shoes off, we have to do something like say none here. And in our script, we're going to add a little bit of extra logic for something that says if name is equal to none, then what we really want to do is grab this manager, we want to grab his game object and set active to false. So we just want to hide it if it's set to none. Else, we want to make sure that he is enabled. But maybe we want to make sure that he's enabled after we change his inventory piece, like so. Save. Let's see how that works. So shoes, golden boots, and we set none. So now he's walking around barefoot like a hobbit. And we can do the same for the rest of these, but that's we can skip that part for now. And there it is. That's how you set SpriteMan through scripting. Very simple code, very rich feature set and capability.